Police say more arrests in the Thabo Bester prison escape scandal are imminent. Officials won't divulge more than that, as they say investigations are at a sensitive stage. Government forked out over R1 million to bring Bester and Nandipha Magudumana home from Tanzania. It's been reported that the rapist and murderer moved in and out of the Mangaung Correctional Center in the Free State before faking his death and then escaping. He allegedly took weekend getaways with Magudumana while he was incarcerated. My colleagues, those are reporters Pule, Letshwiti-Jones and Aviwe Mtila, have been tracking these developments today. They are with me this hour. Pule, can I start with you first? You've spoken to police about their investigation. It's at a sensitive stage. That's what I understand they've told you. But where are they situating now their investigation and what are they looking at?
Definitely, Britain. The police say that they're working tirelessly to ensure that there can be some sort of accountability to pave a way forward in this matter case. Investigations, like you say, are currently at a sensitive stage. And I was speaking to some of them earlier on in which they said that they continue to gather and collect necessary evidence between the Gauteng and the Free State as in the investigations unfold. More arrests in this case are imminent, and as such, they will not be commenting any further. That's the communique we got from the police officials earlier on. But most importantly, we visited the house where the serial rapist Thabo Bester and of course Dr. Nandipha were housing or were living at or renting. And what we found out there was it's still quiet. The gates were locked. It really is tight security. You can't enter. But we witnessed something very strange here where we saw a car coming in trying to deliver a package. So it seems that some still think that the pair are still residing there, and the car actually decided to make a U-turn and leave. So we contacted the property developers there for that company, Fortune Property, and what they're saying is that they're currently renting out the house, despite what we saw previously when we saw some forensic pathologists and, of course, investigators, crawling and raiding that house when my colleague Slindelo Masikani was there.
Yeah, and Aviwe, you were listening to the Minister of Home Affairs talking about what they had to do to get Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester back to South Africa after they have fled South Africa, fled from this home, this house that Pule Letshwiti-Jones is telling us about in Johannesburg on the way to Tanzania. What did Motsoaledi say?
Well, Brajan, it's a story of luxury, really. It took a luxury charter to go to Tanzania and bring back Dr. Magudumana, as well as the infamous Thabo Bester, or Tom William Kelly, according to which passport you look at. Because you remember that they found that there was a US passport that he was carrying that was, of course, between 2019 and expiring on 2029, some of the documentation that was found there, as well as multiple passports that was found in Nandipha. But that luxury charter carrying 14 officials from Home Affairs cost the tune of 1.4 million rand. It was defended by Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, saying that, in fact, this is what the authorities on the other side wanted. They say that they couldn't hand over the two fugitives to the police, nor could they do so to the South African National Defence Force, being wary of rendition, where you hand over a fugitive to the police. So they said they'd rather hand them over to immigrations, anyone from immigrations. Hence, then, they needed to charter this 1.4 million rand flight. But we do understand it's the cheapest, says Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, saying that they actually made the announcement wanting, quotations as to a plane that would be able to go to Tanzania that had the required papers that they needed, and also come back within 24 hours, of course, as it was a pressing issue that had a lot of South Africans at the edge of their seat. So they took that cheapest chartered flight, which ended up at a tune of 1.4 million rand. In fact, let's take a listen to the Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi.
We asked any company that could give us an airplane that can carry 14 people, and which will be able to get landing rights and all the documentation on their own without the help from the state in less than 24 hours. Because, as you know, South Africans were eager to know whether this deportation is taking place. And there are companies who responded. The last one which we took was the cheapest at 1.4 million rand. It was the cheapest of them all. and we opted for that. We never ask anybody that we want a luxury flight, as everybody is saying. It is the cheapest flight we could get, as one of those who responded to our request for proposals, that we want somebody who can do that. And that's why then the 14 people got in and they came back. Now, they came back as our law enforcement officer under immigration. The head of law enforcement in immigration is the one who led that team to go and fetch him, and Tanzanian presented to him, and our embassy got him first and given to him to officials.
What an operation, Aviwe. But I mean, we know as well, Aviwe, that Thabo Bester did not just spend the first few years of the life sentence in Mangaung locked up in a cell. He had some luxury getaways at the weekends with Nandipa Magudumana.
I did say, Bratan, that this is a story all about luxury. That's the other element, of course. Thabo Bester allegedly moving in and out of the prison, escorted by those G4S officials. We do know the earliest incident that's recorded on paper via receipts was just late March, 4-night stay in a luxury boutique hotel. That's 25 kilometers away from the actual Mangaung correctional centers. There'd be another one, in fact, in April, another night stay there in this luxury boutique hotel. All of this under the name of TK Ngwana. That is, of course, one of the aliases of Thabo Bester. If you are to ask the Correctional Services Minister, Ronald Lamula, he'll tell you that the first he heard of this was then when the investigations were actually officially wrapped up. That is late March when he first heard of this incident, but it didn't come up. Remember, just last week, we were in Parliament physically on Wednesday and Thursday, where the Portfolio Committee on Justice wanted answers on the circumstances around Bester's escape. None of this came out, that in fact, even before the actual elaborate escape, he was out, in and out of the prison, up until, of course, he had to fake the death itself. And, of course, now it's all coming to the fore, and something that, of course, the police still have to investigate, Brother.
Yeah, police still have to investigate. I'm telling you, this is better than a Netflix series, what we are seeing and hearing. I mean, I'm laughing here, but it's such a serious issue that has exposed weaknesses in the whole justice system and the correctional system. And I cannot believe that Ronald Lamula last night, speaking to my colleague here on eNCA, Professor J.J. Tabane, still says the contract is still in place. I mean, Aviwe, they were being escorted. He was being escorted out of jail every other weekend on a luxury getaway. I mean, surely that's a serious breach of your contract. But Pule, coming to you, you went to the house today, but you also went to the business, her business that she had here, where she practiced. What did you see there today?
Well, still quiet, doors locked. Spoke to some of the people working there saying that this business hasn't been operating for a while. I tried to get hold of the building manager as well, who refused to allow us to film inside, saying that they will not allow that. From what we're getting, there seems to be a sense of what happens next in terms of whether the lease contract was fully paid for or not, because if that lease contract was not fully paid for, then they need to have almost all of her operational props or whatever she was using, her resources, out of that business. So it is still a interesting development there, but also we now know that Pop Crew, Union for the Police, the president will be having a roundtable tomorrow. They of the view that these prisons should be under surveillance of governments. They don't want the privatization of prisons as well, or private companies to be involved in prisons whatsoever. So that's also going to be an interesting development tomorrow to see as to what kind of discussions come out from that roundtable. But as it is right now, police are saying that the officials from, of course, Gauteng and Free State are busy with the investigations as they unfold, and that their teams are still working hard and busy, saying that more arrests, of course, are on the card.
Thank you very much, Pule, Letshwiti-Jones and Aviwe Mtila. Just the name of that movie, The Great Gatsby, came to mind now. We have our own kind of Great Gatsby unfolding here. Or is it a Bonnie and Clyde? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much, Aviwe Mtila and Pule, Letshwiti-Jones.